Live. We're live. We're going. We're going. Okay.
That's good.
All right. So we are live today on the Substack Live, aka the Smoking Hot Book Show, with a very special guest here today. His name is Peter Bergeron. His author name is Peter S. Bergeron because apparently there's another Peter Bergeron that also lives in New Hampshire and writes in Florida. That's just crazy. But we got his alter ego here, Peter S. Bergeron, here today. Probably the smarter one. And
Yeah.
he just recently launched a book called The Trapped Operator. Pete, before I give a quick, you introduce yourself, Peter. So I'm going to give a quick intro for you. Peter has been a client at Smokin' Hot for the past, when did we start working together? A few months now. And up until just this morning, Peter got the news that he is a number one multi-category best-selling author, international. Okay. And we're just getting started. Peter's book is about family business in a nutshell. And before we dive in, Peter's story really talks about what the intricacies and the emotional spaghetti of running a family business is like. And for those who aren't running a family business or who aren't as familiar with family business, you will still get a lot of value from how your business right now is. You're in the early stages. You might be a solopreneur, you might be an earlier stage entrepreneur, but very soon you're going to be growing and expanding, and there are going to be challenges along the way that Peter has very specific frameworks for. He's been studying, he's doing his doctorate in business administration about this very topic. Without further ado, Peter, welcome to the show. Introduce yourself. Who the heck are you? Yeah, who are you?
Appreciate it, Renee. So as said, I am Peter S. Bergeron. Um, Given that the Peter Bergeron is retired military and all of those types of things, I'm going to say he's quite smart and definitely not anyone I want to put on the radar of, hey, maybe I'm saying bad things. So we'll say nice things about Peter
One day
Bergeron.
we'll have like just like a little like a wrestling match just to see
Well,
who the
I
act.
did reach out, and I don't know if he's stepped away from doing it. I reached out to one of his pages because I was
Yeah.
like, hey, this is just like too coincidental. I went in, and the whole reason I found out he was from New Hampshire was I was finally like, I gotta read what this is, and I read the
Yeah.
preview, and the very first thing was, oh, I'm retired from this military thing and went back to New Hampshire. Like, okay, wait a minute, who is this guy? There's an outside chance that he's the father of one of my kids I knew in elementary school because
Oh,
there was another Bergeron, and I swear his father's name was Peter. So it's like one of those weird things. I reach
that
out,
is
I'm like,
so
are
weird.
you from Salem, New Hampshire originally at any time?
So
So,
weird.
but anyways, who am I? I am Peter S. Bergeron. I, as you said, have recently written a book, The Trapped Operator, focuses heavily on family business, but in reality, as I've always said, small business is family business. Even the solopreneur, you are a family business. Everything you do, Renee, everything I do in my job and my endeavors, it
Mm-hmm.
affects our other half. It's those same emotional aspects.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of that thing when people say, twofold. Like, I don't understand family business. Well, you do, you have a household. And even when they say, I don't understand small business, you do, you are a business of one if you're working for somebody else. And so
Mm,
that's kind of the basics of why I love family business, why I love small business. Is it goes back to just being life. And that's really what it's about.
mm-hmm.
And that's what the book is about. Explaining a little bit even to how small business works, how things happen, how you get emotionally pulled, and how you end up operating in certain ways of what you do in your business, what we do, what we fall back to, what we don't do well, like we've talked about with me and
Yeah.
somebody, this stuff, this, hey, look at me, listen to me, I got the answers. That not a natural thing. So my business is developed in a way that works around that limitation of me. And that's what the trapped operator really is about is
Mm-hmm.
what did you set up in your business that built what you're living in? Because it's what you did along the way that put you in the place you are. So
Yeah. That's a great point. Absolutely. I mean, every single day, my husband is asking me, "So, hey, like, how's your business going? How's, what's going?" And every day, you ask about how's your day going, and I ask him how his day, and I can't wait to offload all the business, all the business aspect onto him, and it very much gets entangled, whether or not he's an employee or not in this business. Formally, he tech emotional employee. Maybe that's a new term for you, emotional.
Yeah. No, it is, and that emotional employee, that emotional fit, that whole aspect, I've always said is half of what I did when I brought in new employees into a family business, into a small business who came from that more corporate world and that
Mhm.
different mentality, just different energy, and that's really what it comes down to is there's a different energy. There's the energy of when you're talking about it, of something you own, something you're passionate about, and the energy about your job. They're different.
Yeah, it totally is so
And
different.
so, and you having made the move yourself in these recent years, you've seen that switch and all of that
Mhm.
to that different feel about it.
Yeah,
Just that different emotional aspect to what it is you're doing each day, what you're producing, what you're helping others do. It again, it just changes all those aspects of it.
totally. Okay, so Peter, before we dive, so you have a framework for family business. But before we dive into that, we have trust. That's it. Yeah, trust is a huge thing. Um, there is a reason why you have this framework, and it started. And actually, that's really what drew me to this book, to this project, was the story of how this framework even started coming about. And I mean, it started when you were a kid. I mean, before with your parents, and so tell us the story of how this framework even came about. But what I really want to know is, your background and um, your family's business.
So my connection, my passion for small business, family business, all of that goes back to, as we've talked about before, my dad when he launched his company. That started when I was 4 years old. And it was something I grew up with. It was truly another presence in the house. I say it all the time, being an only, it's the closest thing I can understand to of having a brother. And actually, as a younger brother, because I was 4, it was just born and it was getting the attention. So I guess even that youngest sibling spoiled child at times, I guess it was. So, I mean, that's why I laugh when people always go, "Oh, you're a spoiled only child." Let's go back a little bit and see what life is like. Not bad, not
Wow.
anything like that, but just, again,
I get
different.
that.
And there was another aspect to it that I thought about more as I've had the book out there, is there's also the aspect of a limited gap from most Asian parents. By that, I mean, my dad and mom were both 20 when I was born. So,
Mhm.
it was literally 20 years difference and so many amazing things that I get to do that were tied to the business in a way because of that age thing just being there. So, it was also that different experience through it all in those reflections as I wrote the book. But so he started his company. I was got to be a part of it, see it from the inside, played
You said
around in it.
24 years old when your dad started your company.
I was 4 when he started. I
Yeah.
was 6 when he had the first building. I remember still sitting on the floor, the tile floor,
Yeah.
UPS boxes around me, playing match game with a packing list. What's the box say? What's
Right.
this symbol? And just
Yep.
getting that understanding of, okay, these things matter
Right.
to the point where it's kind of, just those common sense things that came along with, okay, this is how some of this works with business. These things matter. Again,
Yeah.
everything, and I always was seeing that everything was always mattering. Everything was always the business.
And there
The
was no
table,
iPads back then, so it wasn't like your parents gave you an iPad, to "Here, entertain yourself while we work." It was like you were in with the boxes with the label, like
right? That was the entertainment was, and at the time he started out. It was a high performance marine accessory company. My father was a self taught engineer, was able to
wow,
make things go faster and work better.
incredible.
He saw improvements.
Yeah.
Again, very much that systems mind.
Mhm.
And but, to sup uh, supplements as he's launching this new endeavor because there's no high performance market. He's making a market that doesn't exist. If you
Really?
want to
Okay, I
buy
did
high
not know that.
performance,
Yeah.
yeah, if you wanted to buy the high performance parts back then, you were buying the race engines. He was inventing products that did stuff that no one else did. To improve high performance activity on boats, how it would handle, how it would perform out of the water, just everything. And from nowhere, just looked at it, said, "This is how they have it in the racing model. This is how they have it in the recreational model.
Incredible, yeah.
I can put these 2 pieces together and make a faster thing altogether for the recreational world." It
I
was
mean,
just
that's incredible, really. I mean,
it
just kudos to your dad. Yeah, that's really cool.
yeah, exactly. I mean, there's just so many things, like, along the way, product after product after product, that he
Mhm.
was an inventor by nature, and he was
And
a tinkerer by nature.
this I just have to comment
Yeah.
because that's how a lot of us start with enthusiasm, is that like, "Oh, I see the connections, I see the market, I see there's this new thing, I'm gonna put it together," and then you start, and then you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna da da da," and you're like, "Yes, I see it." Yeah, yeah,
He was placing ads for ideas before he had how to make it. He was doing what
yeah.
we talk about all the time, we see it now, launch right away, get going, do that. That was him. He was
Doing it.
selling from a drawing.
Wow.
Again, I was 4 or 5, so I don't remember the story perfectly, so I'm gonna get yelled at later because I didn't say it right from someone who just jumped on, but his first sale was overseas, international, middle of the night, and he gets done, and he kinda gets off the phone and goes, "I gotta figure out how to make it, and how the hell do I ship it out of the country?" Like, there was no clue, and
Yeah,
some of what he did and how he launches and how he did, yeah, I inherited, he
yeah,
was the type driving home and just, "Yeah, I quit my job, this is gonna work, and I'll make it work, I'll figure it out." Like, that was the announcement to my mother of, "Yeah, I'm going full-time in the company." Like,
yeah.
I quit the other job, not a discussion, just, "Here we go."
Mhm.
And that enthusiasm, that way of going. So that's what I saw, that's what I lived around, this idea of something out of nothing, a different concept, all of those things were in my head.
And that's typical business especially the corporate to entrepreneur
Mhm.
pipeline is, quit your job, you can do it, there's something in you, you got this, just
Right.
figure it out as you go along, probably some foreboding or, foreshadowing is that the start is usually, like, actually quite good, but the thing that isn't solved yet is the end, is what you're s so, okay, so continue.
All of that, it's always that. So you're launching, you're growing, and right away, "How do I do this? How do I do that?" You start making Rube Goldbergish ways of doing it, you start processes that put you at the middle, you're building it because 'cause you're the one doing it, and it's just that natural way.
Yeah,
So, because most often, and this is what I laugh at, is where the analogy comes from, is my father, is that getting in the car and starting down the road, getting to a stop sign, and you have to make a decision, do I go left or do I go right? And you haven't picked a destination yet.
sure,
That's what the small business owner does. But
right.
what also happens with the small business owner is their family gets pulled in. My mother went back to school to get the accounting degree, to be the bookkeeper, because my
Amazing.
grandfather said, "You can't let him have the checkbook alone." Like,
Okay, okay.
the bookkeeping accounting is kind of funny. The bookkeeping accounting side, that's mom's side. That was my grandfather. That was my mother. That falls to me.
I see, interesting, yeah.
My father's father was the electrician. My father went the electrical engineer route at first. Then, no, I want to be the mechanical guy and did all that. So you can see the funnels of getting to where I got to because
Yeah.
of the
We got all these
those
talents in the
strategies.
room, we got all these people who are passionate about their sector of business.
Right.
We're bringing in the talents, we're bringing in the people, we're bringing in the
Yep.
family, like, we're all getting involved, this is the family project.
Yep, and then as, like, time goes along, family decides, "Okay, it's time to be his project a little bit," and so
Mm,
mom went and did her own thing, and I
mm,
was invited to go do my own thing at 14 because it was just I would be the one getting blamed for certain things, and we'd go back and look and go, "No, I've got it right," and it was just,
mhm,
"Okay, there's just some things not flowing well with you working inside the family business," and at that point, again, it goes back to dad's business because mom's said, "Nope, I'm out, dad, I'm out." And so it's back to dad's business. So at
yeah, I
14,
relate.
yeah, 14, I'm off working at a gas station and I just go that route. all of this though is still that small business aspect is where I want to be. It's what I enjoy. It's the type of people I enjoy.
Yeah.
I take hints and look at big corporate stuff, and it's not me. So I continue my whole career just stays that route, and I get to the point where now married, need a better career, go back, get my MBA at night. And as I'm finishing up the MBA, get the phone call from dad. Hey, you might finally be smart enough to come work for me. And the word for me were definitely in that statement. Um,
And that's a I just wanna pause there because, um, mm, I mean, yeah. I feel like my dad was also a small business owner. He was never quite as successful as your dad. He also had somewhat similarities that I feel when you're talking, I'm like, yeah, I feel that because like, and that's what drew me to your project was because I mean, yeah, my dad was, he was, a perfectionist. He wanted things that way, and I get it. I understand why. And there was a lot of pressure to perform and to look and to be good enough for your parents, for your dad specifically. And when they say things like "You're finally ready to smart enough to come work for me," there's a mixed emotion of like, like "F you, dad," but also like "Thank God," like I made it, right? Like, it's so emotional spaghetti, yeah.
it's all of it, and it
Yeah,
is that draw to it, and it's why the family business succession is slightly better results than the standard non-family business,
okay.
because there is that generation that wants to step up. They've seen it, they've watched it grow, they've watched the struggle, and yeah, it's that opportunity of, all right, do I get to run the ship at times? And you start to have that, but was the ship designed for you to run is the part that I didn't look at the time.
That's such a good point,
And
yeah. Mhm.
that's what the trapped operator starts to unwind.
Yeah,
Because, yeah, I stepped in. Yeah, I ran the business with him on, the finance, the operation, all those things. We had some great successes, jumped into new products. He
mhm,
completely shifted. He had seen the decrease in the '90s coming for the performance boating world. He saw it ahead of time, as he used to call it, the grain of the lakes. All the properties around the lakes started being owned by the grandparents. They didn't get into high performance boating. Now the kids are coming. Now it's tubing. Tubing is
tubing.
reliable, not a go fast, have fun boat. The whole market has changed. That marine industry and market just changes.
Wow, wow, wow.
The the way it used to be, like, when they were growing up, when even I was growing up, of everyone going to the cottages for the
Mhm,
summers, that doesn't
mhm,
happen anymore. It became year-round houses, and it's just
okay,
a different,
mhm.
almost gentrification of the lake life in reality.
Totally, yeah, that's a good point.
I think
Mhm.
the lake we live on still, and we're still in Governors now, we have the house on it, is a 70-something acre puddle. They used to have boats just sitting on the side waiting for the net, like, 3 boats are going and skiing, "Okay, we're gonna wait." 1 went in, "Alright, it's my turn to go out," that type of
Mm,
thing. Activity all the time,
yeah,
and I lived on the lake, and we'd be barely ever see a boat, and we'd have, quote, unquote, "Oh, too fast for a boat." I'm like, "It's not fast. It's a slow boat compared to what used to be out here."
that's so interesting. Mhm,
There's just the whole change of it, and so that changed the company as well. And that was another part of it from the standpoint, again, in that reflection, I stepped into a different company. It was a different
yeah,
product,
when you were
proved
14.
to be, different communities,
Oh,
all of
man,
that,
yeah, yeah,
which again is showed, okay, the product, the company had the ability to make the evolution, which again was my father had that ability as that leader to make that evolution with the company.
yeah,
But again, it was those weird hats. So he wasn't just the engineering mind, he also was that marketing mind.
the marketing,
He
yeah, all
just
of it.
Yeah, the product, what's our new product development? Where are we going? Where's the market opportunities? Where's the product opportunities? How do we put this technology to this technology? Because we were doing computer automated testing for, you know, marine engines, for auto engines, all those types of things. So it's just a continuous evolution of that type of thing. So you have a very sophisticated, very talented mind there,
Yeah.
system-based, but at that same time, a concept, and I talk about it again a little bit in the book, a concept of guerrilla marketing when it wasn't a thing. Like,
Sure.
you can say it, and people hear me say, "Oh, guerrilla marketing." I realized with the way I wrote it, it sounded like it was in the 2000s when I was there. No, this was in, like, 93, 94
Mhm.
when he just said, "I think if we send out a dozen or 15 to 20 of these to a few people, we might get some support and probably get 35 or 40 that first year."
Well before Facebook ads,
Any of
well
that. It wasn't even
before
Google wasn't even a thing yet. Like,
yeah. Mhm.
Google was when I got there, we were just getting into the Google world. But
Mhm.
so he developed in completely a self-contained engine testing thing, revolutionary. You don't have to pull the engine out like you used to on snowmobiles, all these things, tested in the body in minutes. Again, sent it out to a few people, a few being a dozen or so. Thought he'd sell 35, maybe 40, like I said, and they sold 120, something like that, and it
Oh,
launched the
wow.
whole product line. Like,
Amazing.
4
Yeah, okay.
4
So now
it
all of a
out of
sudden
a
you have this new
million.
problem of a new product line. You're like, "Oh my gosh."
Correct.
Yeah.
Just people falling over, giving that, um, support to it. So, again, that's not your normal engineer who then also says, "Hey, if we just drop ship like a secret Santa this testing equipment on their desk, they're gonna write good stuff about us." Like,
Uh-huh.
but it was, and that is what that whole idea of that campaigning, that guerrilla marketing, get it in everybody it was
Sure.
the ARC readers before the ARC readers.
Right.
Except he was
Right.
ARC reading not with the book, but with a $3,500 product that he was sending to each of these people, like,
Right.
a little bit different. But again,
Mhm.
so it's a hard hat to emulate for anybody. He built a very specific thing to support that person.
Wow.
And it really wasn't that noticeable until we got into looking to do the generational transfer. We tried that in 2017, and it wasn't going to hold. It was quickly, "Ooh, we structured this in a way that we really have to replace 2 people, and we've never really costed ourselves in that way because we've never looked at how we're gonna expedite him out or exit him out. We've never planned that in. We've never worked in the price side of it, the cost."
So, curious,
Yep.
if you don't mind me asking,
Mm.
what started that generational transfer conversation then?
His desire to retire, I mean,
Okay.
it's 2017, I mean, so he's getting at that 65 age, age of where he should, he's earned it, all of
Yeah.
that, and we looked at a couple of different ways, a buyout of this or that, and again, we just looked at it at 2017 and said, "Okay, how do we do it?"
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
you need to
Start yeah, start asking questions. Yeah.
yeah, well, you need to start asking questions that you started. You
Right.
need to start asking questions long, long time ago. You
Sure.
needed to look, are you structuring yourself in a way to do this? Are you putting in the procedures that allow it and
And
all of
had
that?
that I mean, you consider yourself a specialist in that now, an expert in that now, but at the time when that conversation was those questions were being asked, had you thought of that? Like, we need to make the company non-dependent on your dad now.
No, in a way enough that we thought we had it, that it would lead itself almost, and because
Yeah.
we were just getting the new products and we were just going into it, and we were more at a point where we were moving with the industry than we were leading the industry at that aspect of it.
Mm,
Meaning we had grown into a more commodity-based industry when we get
okay.
into a lot more equipment manufacturers, a lot more competition, not as specialized.
Yeah.
So, still a market leader in what we're doing on the electronic side, on the software side,
Mhm.
ways that that could be built into the vision, you know how that's gonna have to continue to grow. So some of that was there, but it
Yeah.
was really we never looked at that process of, okay, this isn't just an extended vacation. It's you need to get to a point where no, you're not there as a consultant, you're not there as this. How
Mm-mm.
does that work? And it wasn't until we started looking at it, it's not going to. It's not gonna fit with me. It's just not going to work because we don't have the personnel structure in place. We didn't ever set up
Mm.
a system. We didn't put in a underling under him who was learning all those engineering sides. We could bring in a marketing. That one was easier to maybe emulate to a
Yeah,
point,
but
but the engineer side and all that. Yep.
there's I have to say, because I mean, just here, I didn't even meet your dad, and just hearing from third hand how much respect I would have for this man, for I mean, in a state of crisis when the market is diminishing, he created a whole new engine and then figured out how to market it, and then it exploded. And like the respect you would have for someone like this would be immeasurable. And it's almost like the concept of this person no longer leading this company, the concept of this man not being able to do these things after having done it for decades. There's I mean, I would totally understand why, and he's also your dad, you know, there's it's not just the business owner, he's also, like, this immortal person who was this like, I mean, for a lot of us, like, I mean, even now, like, it's a hard to imagine, like, our parents aging or, like, because 'cause they're just had all they've been there literally since you were born, and I can understand why it would almost feel, just, you know, there's like this resistance to even asking that question. How would I even begin to replace my father or the head of this business well before they're asking themselves? I mean, that it almost seems disrespectful. It almost seems like insane. It's like how would but you're saying like if you had looked back, if you could have done differently, you would have started asking those questions earlier.
It's all of that. So everything you just said in there from
Yeah.
both sides, and it's from both sides because there's also the other side. You got the one who's asking how we do it, but you get the one who has to say, I want to step down, I'm ready to
Yeah.
step down, I can step down.
Yeah.
It's now they're admitting their mortality.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like
This
I'm
like,
at the
oh
and
man,
again, it's
admitting mortality.
and it's
Dang.
the difference between that W-2 and the small business because
Oh my gosh.
W-2, when you first get there, you're sitting with HR. This is where your 401k. This is how you retire. This is where you build. Get out, get out, get out, get out. Here's your reward. Here's your reward to go be whoever it is you're going to be. The small business, no one ever asks you when you retire from your small business. Maybe in the very end, your friends will, but never in the beginning. They're not talking about that.
Yeah.
They're talking about it as your identity, not your job. They're talking about it as who you are, all of that. So yeah, that person gets very tied into it.
Yeah. And you mentioned something yesterday about how when you first start the business, there you do have these like trickles of aspirations. Like I see myself having a very wildly successful business. My grandkids are around me at the lake house. We're all playing together. We're tubing. The money's flowing in. Like it's all amazing. But at the time when you're first starting, the doubt is so overwhelming that you don't even let yourself speak those words into existence. You don't let yourself, say, like, this is what my aspiration is."
Right. 100% because there's that fear of breathing it out there. But there's also when launching, like that, I get that asked that about the doctorate. I get asked that about the book. I get asked that about each of them. Like, oh, where's this go? And it's always, I'm not 100% sure. I have ideas where I'd love it to go,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but what's gonna catch? What's
yeah,
gonna be what goes first? What's gonna step first? So you're so busy trying to get to that next stage, that next stage, that next stage, and actually half the time you're trying to define that next stage that we don't put that fuzzy goal out there that we're driving towards to say, how do I get out? But it is what we should be doing. But even when we have that vision of the kids, the lake house, all of that, did you step away? Did you sell? Did you move? What'd you do? How'd you get there? What was that? What was the last move before that? And that's the one we never know because we never know when we're truly there.
yeah, what oh my gosh. You never know when you're truly there,
Right.
and no one's gonna ever tell you.
No. And,
Okay, wow.
and it's hard because again, there's also that, oh, I've reached the goal. Now what? So So you don't know that, so the goalpost has to continue to move,
Yeah.
otherwise you're not driving. So it's
Wild.
really, yeah, it's a lot of that.
Mm,
So there are all those pieces in it within small business and family business. Because even, and again, I don't like the definition of family business in the way it is. The quote unquote definition is one family control, 2 generations actively working in it.
okay.
Again, not true. We started right from the very beginning. Your husband asks you all the time. My wife's asking all the time, "Do you have meetings? Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have that?" They're asking with a little bit of nervousness in it themselves because they don't know what we're doing. They don't get that same feedback. We've got things in the back of our head.
Yeah.
Even when you come back from your day's work on a regular job, you don't share every single thing. Well,
Yeah.
now it's even worse because when you want to complain about the boss, you're complaining about yourself and the stupid moves that person made. Like you normally say, "Oh, the boss is
Oh
so dumb.
god,
They want this, this, and this."
totally.
I can't go, "Yeah, I was so dumb I did this, this, and this." Because then she'll go, "Alright, should you go do something else?"
Yeah, you don't wanna admit it to your family either,
Right.
'cause there's things that you tell them and things that you would you're waiting for something good to happen so that you can't tell them about them.
Exactly.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So there's all those aspects to it. So that's why I come back to it. Yeah, what I write about, what I talk about, what I
yeah,
focus on so often is the family business, but it's not. It's just really that whole small business succession
yeah,
piece because like the question down below about how you replace that founder and everything within a family business is that, but it's that exact same thing in a small business.
yeah,
You know, yeah, I'm building a framework, I'm building a model, I'm building a system, all of that. But right now, everything is just my intellectual property and it's on me. There's not a step in type place. Ideally, does the framework itself develop into that and others glom on and start helping develop it? Yes, because it's based on a limited amount of study, a limited amount of visibility, my views, my research, my this, my that, a lot of my tied to it, which makes it hard for me to go out and talk about because it's my. But in order for this to be something that can go forward, that can grow, there's gotta be other eyes in it. There's gotta be other people in it.
totally.
And eventually, you know, is there an exit out from this for me in some way? With the framework side, with the model side, yeah, that's the whole aspect. Hand the research off to the next generation, continue it forward.
Yeah.
From here, this is just bringing the language to everybody.
Yeah. So, okay, yeah, you're dropping
Yeah,
hints. Yeah, like, the audience is, like,
I
chomping at the bit, like,
alright.
"What
So
happened?" So, yeah,
alright,
like, tell us.
2017, just really the real reality of I'm not the right one to replace dad. And the reality is there's no right person to replace dad, but maybe there's a buyer. Maybe there's another him who has, so you start doing what you do with a small business. What do we have for assets? What do we have for equipment, capabilities? What can we do? We start doing the dog and pony shows. We start trying to find a buyer.
Yep.
We start presentations, we've got great machines, we've got great SOPs, we've got all those things, but the same problem as they're coming in is what we were seeing in that generational transfer side. That's a lot of intellectual property inside that head, a lot of the vision, a lot of what is that company
Mhm.
tied to that vision. How do we pull that out? How do we step to the next thing? And how do we move it forward? So we're starting to get some decent, get an LI or 2. One seems okay, not so good, all of that. And then May of 2019, unfortunately, unexpectedly, my father passes. So that kind of just went to a lot of what we were doing,
Wow.
because we'd already known we can't, it doesn't work without him at the center.
Yeah.
And so we're doing everything we can to move it away in some way, shape, or form that he's not at the center, and then all of a sudden, boom,
Boom.
here he comes.
Yeah, it's
And
almost like you've been preparing for the best, but what actually happened was the
the
worst.
absolute worst they could have, because
Wow. And
now
you never saw it coming either.
no, and not at all. And So you go from that because what you're doing when you're selling that small business is you're kind of getting into a partnership with your buyer. And that's that side that people have to realize. You're in a 6 to 18 month partnership because you're teaching them how to run business, you're teaching them
Yeah.
what thing, what how you think about stuff, how you'd handle this, where this idea came from, where this historic came from, why we don't do this anymore, why you may want to go do that, all of those things. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of intellectual property they need to pull out of that founder. No
Yeah.
matter how well documented you are, without it being directly from the founder, you're going to lose. And we were further down because there was just so much more tied to him. It wasn't like just bringing an engineering mind. It was
Yeah.
to why do you have this live brochure? Why do you have this marketing like you do? Why are you spending all this on Google? What are these ads? What are just all kinds of things
Yeah.
that were tied to more than just an engineering product, just this product or that product. So May 20th, May 22nd, whichever, I can't forget remember the day anymore. May 22nd happened.
This is in the middle of
Next
COVID.
day next day back into the office. Right away because had to be. We had stuff to get done, had
Mm.
just had we were not in a position where any of us could walk away from any extended period of time, especially now, even more so. And so trying to do certain things that we just had not fully moved over yet. I couldn't, he was running the website and pricing and all those types of things. He was
Uh-huh.
running the coding to the machines. He was doing so much through this. He loved to say it. He had his Lenovo laptop and would love to say he could run everything from the company through his 17-inch power laptop, all of that, which is all well and good until you don't have the person who has the keys. Yeah, we had the laptop, but
Wow.
we didn't have the input to the laptop. We didn't have that aspect.
Oh my gosh. It's something you don't even think about. And in the middle
No,
of your grief, you're like, "The password! Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about needing the password for the computer."
I at least had the password that he gave me, but it
Okay.
was even just getting the code. Like it was quickly realizing that everyone who said this is what they were doing with him and all that was the reality of no, they were doing like this, and he was filling in that gap. So that was even it. The perceived gap was so small, but it was so much larger than
The
it
larger
really
than you thought it
was.
would be. Wow. Mhm.
And that just continued to expedite, and downward spiral, trying other buyers, trying other things. Couple of people come in, not great return, wanting way too much earnout. Like, we can't take that
Yeah.
risk because you're stepping in and now you want us to take a big, large earnout, but who are you? It's that same
Uh-huh.
thing.
Yeah. The
And
trust gap.
again, without that mind that we needed to balance it out. So it just continued to getting worse, continued to getting worse. And by January 13th of 2020, I had no choice. I walked in and I just told the crew, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to pay you for last week. And which means I can't continue this week. We've got to stop. I don't know what I'm going to do. I we're closed. And that was it. It was 12:30 on a Monday afternoon and just shut it down. Um, Woke up the next morning and like, what do I do? So I went to the office because I went to the shop, did not know what else to do. I pulled around the corner and parking lot was over half full. I was like, what's going on? I opened the door. I can hear stuff in the back. I'm like, oh, you guys must be just getting this stuff moving out. All right. I open the door and it's not. It's machines are running and assemblers are running around. And one who looks at me and goes, yeah, we know what you said, but we think we can get this, this, and this together, and that gets this in. If we get this together, would that get this in? Would that get us a couple more days? And I was like, uh, sure, maybe. And like that was the feel. But the reality was I walked upstairs and I kind of went, looked and said, well, maybe we can get a little more breathing. Maybe we can get a little more breathing. And we got another week or two. Was able to clear some of the back stuff, but it was really no, that this is done. And but that motivated me to at least swallow some pride and start calling every competitor and just be like, hey, we're on the market. Hey, we're on the market. Hey, we're on the market.
Yeah.
finally got one, and he said something. I said, "Just here's the broker's number. I can't be any more in the middle of it for now, but just do this." And
Yeah.
through a ton of hoops in a 7-week period, we were able to close by March 31st on selling off the product line right as like,
Right, as
literally, I was in Texas getting signed off on a waiver from someone we had a whole other thing on for an IP thing that we licensed. The day the NBA canceled their first game because of COVID, I was sitting in the Dallas airport. Like,
yeah.
that's where we were in the world is shutting down. I landed and, like, 2 days later, we were getting the, you know, only essential workers can go to work type thing. Like, I was that close to being stuck in Texas without realizing it, and that bad of how the world was shutting down while we were trying to do all this. It was just bizarro world. But through a miracle of miracles, we sold off the product line. That led me back to working in a small business. That led me to seeming like things were good, career was going good, but I
Mm,
still had that burning question of why. Again, a lot of what I talk about now is all in the hindsight of the why. At the
yeah.
time, it wasn't known when I got
Yeah, 'cause you were I mean, it was like you were in survival mode. You were just like, "Gotta get this thing sold. Gotta get the waivers finished. Gotta find a buyer." It was like, you while COVID is happening, you were just like it's almost like yeah, and I can see how, like, there's almost like this, especially with your employees, there's almost like almost like I don't know if you ever felt guilt or just like, "Oh my gosh," like, it's like they are still showing up to work,
oh,
and
yeah.
I shut this down, and it's like I have to honor my dad and them in a way that is that true?
I mean, there was such a period of guilt with all of it for the longest time. Um,
Yeah,
just for every way it went, and even though we closed out, no one got a haircut, all those types of things, we were able to make stuff work.
yeah,
Yeah, it turned out okay, but I still, like, feel bad that anyone had be in any of those situations, that
no,
it was that I couldn't see the things that I can see now, that I didn't have that available at the time.
right,
That hindsight again, it's that in it and those moments of mistakes along the way that you look at and fix or try to fix. And so that's what the whole idea of the book is. That's the whole idea of pretty much everything I do with the writing is it's taking those failures and, as I say, transferring them into missteps, providing them as cautionary tales back to others, like, here's how to go forward, here's how to do things differently. Um, you know, here's how to structure it in a way that it's best for everyone involved. Start to look at it just because going through it sucked. Like, there's no
yeah.
other word. Well, there's a lot of other words, but this is family friendly.
Well,
Um,
the show is marked as explicit on Apple Podcasts now, so we might as well just lean into it.
all right, it fucking sucked. Like, there's no ands, ifs, or buts
Yeah,
about it. Um, there was just again, that feeling of why can all right, now I have this after the fact. I've got this framework. I've got this and more the business model and all the reflection and all that came about from this and reflecting back to why, reflecting back to why did it happen? Why was it like this? And just really searching for those questions and those answers. Like, that's what this is all driven to.
yeah.
Yeah. But it
Unraveling the confusion, unraveling the grief, unraveling the guilt, unraveling all this, like, just yeah, like, it was supposed to be so good. You guys were preparing for the vision of your dad, pulling the fast performance boat, towing the grandkids on the and it was, like, the exact opposite of that.
no tubing. No
Sorry?
tubing. No tubing. We don't tube.
No tubing oh, sorry, my bad.
Water sleep. No, 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 no. Tubing is part of what ruined lakes. That was part of the downfall of lakes. It was. But anyways,
Yeah, yeah, sorry, no yeah, in fact, it was almost like, yeah, you just throw in because of tubing, this no, I'm
it
just kidding.
was. Because people didn't have to have the skill anymore. So being around the boat, being it as part of the actual culture and the lifestyle went away. You just jump in a tube, you go quick, and you It's like going tubing down a hill versus a skier. They're just different mentality people and all of that and their connection. So it's just that. But,
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
yeah.
I mean, as you're saying this, I'm like putting myself in your shoes, Peter. And like, I mean, because every business owner who starts a business, and Carl is even saying right here, I mean, he worked in a family business, assuming this is a man. Um, and he was like, yeah, we had, this is easy. We had the right people. We got the right project managers. And that probably was what happened when your dad was there, right? Like everything was flowing, everything was working, everything was easy. As soon as that went away, as soon as it stopped.
Yeah, like we were filling roles, we were filling pieces and all of that.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize in the time was basically what I've developed in the model, the framework is what we had. We had a way of working around and fitting his personality, his structure, and all of that.
Mhm, mhm.
We had what I call containment. Like systems were not always perfect. Not every issue was managed perfectly, but there was enough containment around it once you move some of those pieces. My father handled some of that containment by being that, again, filling those gaps I talk about in the book. The owner fills the gaps in small business all the time. Again, that's acceptable, but when the owner is ready to leave, how do you set that gap? And
Yeah,
it's really what I'd ended up developing in the end was what he was always telling me was there to develop in the whole time. Because again, the original line, the original thought of limited number of problems in small business was his words. A lot of this framework, a lot of
yeah,
the model, everything from it is taking a lot of those words and then applying it and going, all right, what's the research say? What does the systems model say? What does this theory say? How do we look at it here and proving it out? And that's the model is a reflection of here's what we had. Had we known we had this, we would have been able to even structure it a little better
sure.
because we didn't realize what we had because no one talks about it because we were running a language, we were running what small business really runs, not what a corporation runs for how they structure and how they do things. And there's all of that
Yeah,
informalities within or spaghetti, within family business, within small business that's there. And you don't realize which is the fork and which of the strands of spaghetti when it's all on the plate.
that's a good
But
enough.
try to eat your spaghetti without a freaking fork involved. It's
Yeah,
going to go downhill, and that's what ends up happening. And that's what the owner does. They are pulling together all these different strings around us. Your spaghetti plate is the best example I can give.
yeah,
The owner comes in at the fork and says, "All right, I'll grab that. I'll grab that. I'll grab that. I'll grab that,"
yeah.
and pulls a whole combined piece to a
Mouth
solid out.
forkful.
Yeah, a solid out of a mess.
Mhm.
Again, now try to do that with just your bare hands and do it that way. It doesn't work the same. So I didn't realize all of those things. I didn't realize what it was happening at that point. And that's
Yeah,
again, when you're in it, you're in that survival mode. You shift to scale. You're in that different energy. You have that moment, as I talk about, of stability. And you go, okay, we've arrived, and you can just be
we're chilling.
comfortable.
Mhm.
Nope, this is when you need to do this, this, and this.
Yeah,
But no one's telling us that. It's
yeah,
and people say, well, yeah, it's there in planning and these succession things, but again, that's in the last 3 to 5 years, and we gotta be thinking about it long before that, because
yeah,
great, we talk about succession, we talk about that, we can fix that, but the same problem is gonna happen to any small business owner who passes away unexpectedly in the middle, or something happens and all of a sudden can't be in there day in, day out. If that person is that old glue, you're in trouble, and if
yeah,
that's your asset, that's what you have, that's your security, that's your retirement. Are you really protecting it? You know, we talk about, oh, protect with life insurance. We'll do this, we'll do that. Okay, that works, but what about the person who isn't deceased, is disabled? Something else happens. What are we doing to structure it? So it all again comes back to the systems of small business, just thinking about them differently. And it came about because of a crisis that I don't want anyone else to have to go through. 'Cause
Yeah.
again, it fucking sucked,
Yeah.
you know?
Um, and, um, I'm very sorry that that happened, Peter. And that's w um, actually a perfect tea because that is why the 12 fatal issues and the trapped operator exists, because of this rock bottom moments,
Moments, yeah,
or, like, months. I mean, it wasn't just a moment, it was just horrible, and you and your family are experiencing the grief of losing your father, and then also figuring out, like, what do we do with this business, and, like, the confusion and the employees, um and just a shameless plug. This is every single author that I have worked with at Smokin' Hot has this, pattern, is that they come with a book and they say, "Hey, I wrote this book, and I wrote it because I this is what I've been trying to solve for the past, like, several years,"
yeah,
and there's this fog almost about where this came from because it was so traumatic, um, but that rock bottom moment was a blessing in disguise,
yeah,
and the word that I use at Smokin' Hot is the word alchemy, is when you turn lemons into lemonade. I have this go figure. You turn lemons into lemonade, and all of a sudden now you have this you start you know, you were like, "What the heck happened? What the fuck happened?" You went to get you were like, I have to do this. I have to go get my doctorate because I have to start understanding what the fuck happened."
right,
While you're working and you're like, "I don't care what it takes. I have to understand." And you built this framework, that you started telling other people about, other business owners, and they're coming back to you and you're saying, "This is exactly what people are not talking about." Even though there's E-Myth Revisited, even though there's EOS, even though there's all the Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz, there's these books out there that are all, this is a very common problem about, how do you turn your business that solely depends on you,
right,
into something that doesn't depend on you. But this is a generational conversation, a legacy transfer conversation. The magnitude of this conversation is not just about you. It's way more than you living your lifestyle. It's about you and your family. And you even go on to say, Peter, how this is about your community. Because as soon as that the sale happens and the money starts now going somewhere else, your community is affected. The value is not there anymore.
right. Very much so, although I don't wanna miss it. I want a quick little plug because you bringing up the lemonade thing, lemon. One of my college buddies has, Eric Prue. He has a documentary he did, Lemonade, and it was all about that. It was about the marketing industry and all these people who got fired at, like, this one big time, and did a whole documentary of all of them reinventing themselves after, like, "Oh, crap, now what?" Um
Yeah.
but it's that decision because you got one of 2 things when you hit that bottom. You can say, "Now what?" and try to move forward, or you can use it and just always point to it as the reason you're where you're at. And
Yeah.
that wasn't an option because that goes back to Mr. Lane, you don't cry. You're one of my boys. Yeah, something bad happened, you deal with it, you learn from it, you move forward from it. Like, it was from those young age and all those pieces.
Yeah.
But the concept, like, the bigger concept and why it really matters as I look at it is this has been a long standing known problem of small business family generational transfers, of small business individual successions and all of that.
What, like 30%?
20 30%, over 30% of family businesses, over say it that way. 2/3 of family businesses do not survive the generational transfer. 3/4 or more of small business owners who intend to sell as part of their exit are unable to sell. The businesses aren't prepared. Historically, in the olden days when we had community banking and all of that, it wasn't as detrimental to that community like you just talked about. We all remember growing up, well, some of us much longer back, but that local the local restaurant in town that kept falling down and somebody else would put in and it would fall down, it'd fail and someone else would come in and just keep going and everyone just kept using that same original oven and all that that was made and just kept recycling because the community was the banker was local. So the money came back to the bank. They foreclosed, but they knew someone local who wanted to take it because they needed the community money going. They needed all of that aspects to it. That was the sources of the capital was the community within it. Now the capital comes from elsewhere. Everything
Yeah.
so with fintech, and it may not come back into your community ever because your community might not be that hot spot where they want to be investing dollars. It may be difficult. Everything that is tied to that business loses when that business leaves. Every vendor, every aspect of it. And again, we now see whole communities shut down by that one. It used to be, again, it used to be lots of small businesses doing a lot of different things. So one leaving wasn't as detrimental, but it became one large employer, one
Yeah.
large company, and either they sell, they just go under, or they move to another place where they get better tax advantages. The community suffers like it's never has before. So there's a whole shift of money that continues to leave these areas to some central area. Now it's not even within our own. It can be international. Again, not all good things. Having international business, having international aspects are all great, but we still need our community ones. We still need our local. We still have 40% of our payroll tied to small businesses. Like, but we don't talk about it. Like, that's almost half the people in this country work for a small and medium-sized business, not a large corporation. Like, that's where household incomes come from,
Mhm, mhm.
but we've known about these failure rates for greater than 40 years. That was the first thing I found when I went looking. Yeah, back in 1986 was the first time they mentioned family business succession problems. And by the way, small businesses failing at a higher rate than family businesses. Okay.
Mm,
40 years later, yeah, family business falls at this rate and small business falls at a higher rate. They haven't moved. Nothing has changed.
yeah.
And it's again, it's now like that other aspect to wait a minute, that's why communities are dying. That's where this is happening. That funding, that local connection is gone as well. It's very disappointing or sad in a way, needs and that needs a revitalization. It goes back to just needing to teach small business in a way that's real, back to the owner being the center of it, back to the reality of it. It's an emotional aspect owning a business, but here's how to structure it around you so you can have some freedom, you can have some help along the way. Even if like even as a solopreneur, you're already myself, I'm already planning certain aspects like that you that helps me in areas that like an employee would that I don't have to become a specialist on. Same with Peyton and all those things. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't do the book wouldn't be here if it was just all me.
Yeah.
And that's what you gotta realize your company is that same way, and how are you continuing to structure? Are you structuring away the stuff that you like, which is bad to do? Or are you structuring away the stuff you don't like so you can focus on what you're passionate about?
Mhm,
Mm.
mhm.
Too many get trapped in the stuff they're not passionate about because that's what the business becomes, or at least feels like every day.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we spent, like, the majority of this talking about your story, but I think that is important,
Yeah.
and why this framework is important, and why this framework is even meaningful to, especially to those who are working in small to family businesses and family businesses is there. I mean, yeah, there's Clockwork, there's EOS, there's eMyth, whatever, but is there necessarily the structure with the addressing the emotional spaghetti for you? So talk about then, and I know we're running out of time, but um this is what the trapped operator is all about.
Yeah, it is stepping back and getting that diagnostic of yourself. And those and knowing what you have structured before you put on a system to fix something, because we get to it often where we're getting to the point of fixing before we've really identified the underlying condition. Like, that's my biggest piece with a lot of these types of systems.
Like
I
what?
don't like my word framework in it because it just sounds like it's quick and this and that. No,
Yeah.
the framework is about how to think and look at it. The framework is a translation of a academic model of how to think about business, how to diagnose it, how to understand why you built what you built. It's the very first thing we do is have them take the fatal snapshot. Just get an idea of what is your business profile.
Six
And people
collections.
don't always understand what that means. It really means, what are you openly admitting is the weakest part of your company in these questions, these emotional questions. That's what we're pulling out of 6 quick questions. We're getting you as the owner to the point where you're not feeling confident. Okay, let's find out why. What did you structure? Now let's put on an EOS in the right way, because we'll
Yeah.
have identified the right person to lead it. Because maybe the whole reason we need to really bring an EOS in is not to help the company better structure, around ideas, but how to allow the company to take your little idea and carry it forward themselves, how they own the meetings, how they own the systems,
Yeah.
rather than what most small business owners do. I'm bringing this system. I'm going to lead this system. I'm going to implement this. I'm going to do that.
I see.
Well, you're putting a solution that's for you that you like, but is that really where your business is at now? Or do you need to balance yourself out a little bit by allowing more voices in? And that's what we're looking for in that diagnosis. I like I use traction. I
Yeah.
talk it, it's my language. I use profit first. I talk it with clients. I say about getting it. I turn around and go, here, read Mike's book because I didn't have to write it. I would
Right.
have, but Mike said everything. Pay yourself first. Like, that's it. Stop there. Like, if I can get you on that mindset as an owner to think about, okay, my owner return first, we're already 10 times better than we are anywhere else, because you're separating my job inside my company
Yeah.
and my ownership inside my company. They are different,
Wow. Wow. Wow.
but we always blend them together. And
Yeah.
that's when you get yourself trapped because you stop being an owner. You just operate.
So you're saying the trapped operator is the book you read before, for example, implementing EOS. Maybe and in fact, I was actually reading one of the testimonials that you had, like I think her name is Pam.
Yes.
Pam, and she was like, that's her. I think that's her business, right? She's an implementer. She fixes things, but she was saying that your book is the book before that the business owner needs to be reading before the consultant can come in and start fixing things and implementing new systems, right?
Yeah, and a lot of that goes because most small business owners are accidental business owners, as I call it. They didn't go to business school. They
Right.
didn't grow up with a business household around them. They didn't have it at the dinner table 24/7. A and they were just really good at a skill, a craft. They were passionate. They had strong sales. They had strong marketing. They great architecture, great lawyer, whatever it is, great plumber, whatever it is, just decided, "I can do this myself. I can run it myself." And they start putting themselves, as they should, as that owner,
Yeah.
but they don't know what it means. So they start reading books that aren't really written for them because they're not written about the emotion of a business owner. They're
Yeah.
written about about, how to make standard operating procedures. Well, I'm a person of one. I'm not making standard operating procedures. I'm just setting this up. Okay, yeah, we're not worrying about that. You're in survival mode. Just focus on survival. Focus on fine this, this, and this. Do that first. Structure, plan out. As I get to that next size, do I go, because it's small business, there's so many categories of it. There's a solopreneur. There's the micro business, which is 0 to 9. There's the 10 to
Oh,
20,
okay.
10 to 14, 25 is a set of businesses. 25 to 99 is a different beast. Get over 100, you add yet another. Like, so the small business owner learns how to run a business and then is in a new arena, and then a new arena, a new arena, a new arena, so much faster than any corporation. The
Yeah.
evolution in a small business, from good to bad, from bad to good, instant compared to a big corporation.
Mhm.
Have budgets, do this, all that. No, have a forecast, have this. This is the reality you live in. You live in 13 weeks. Worry about those first 13 weeks. Run survival mode. That's it. If you're good for 13 weeks, whew, that's 90 days. So much changes in 90 days. What does EOS talk about? That 90 days. So again, they
Uh-huh.
go together.
Right.
That's why I say, and like I go back to, I'm not dinging traction. I'm not dinging profit first. I'm
Yeah.
not dinging any of them. I love all of them. They
Mhm.
again use them. I promote them. I'm saying too many people, the implementers are business people. They understand the business. They understand everything about it. The
Yeah.
person who you're putting it into is an
That's
individual, and they might be extremely successful in business,
yeah.
and you look and they run everything on a Google sheet, and there's not a single entry in any type of accounting system whatsoever. And you ask about costing, you do this, and what's costing? Do you have proper, did you show your gross margins right?
What's that?
Uh, I get my revenue and I get my money at the end of the month. What are you talking about? And they're not, it's not
Yeah.
painful. It's unnecessary to them. The business
Sure.
of running the business is a distraction.
Yeah.
But
Until it's not.
correct. It's the
Until it's
business of running the business that
not. Mm.
takes them down. And that's why I say this goes first. Not because those systems are wrong, but because you have to understand yourself before you put in a system.
Yeah.
Like, if I get a system that says how to be successful, call 100 people each day, that system ain't gonna work. Don't bother bringing it to me. It's gonna be the greatest system in the world. Ain't happening. I'm not calling 100 people in a day. I'm not that marketer. I'm not that. Again, you know me. I have a difficult time with the outreach. Even though I want to get me talking, is like this guy doesn't shut up. But I don't start unless someone says go.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. Yeah.
too often, but everyone would say, "Use this solution, it's perfect for you." It's never going to work for me. I know me. Most people don't know their businesses. And that's those are the biggest compliments I get is, "He taught me to view my business in a way I didn't know was possible."
Love that.
Bring cost accounting idea into a service business so they understand you only have so many hours. That's what matters. That's your unit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we can do cost accounting here. And now when they talk to an accountant, they understand a little bit more. Um, you know,
Yeah.
that's what I enjoy, and that's why I like the small business side of it because again, it's life, and that's how you just talk to them about like how they run their life, and they all of a sudden, oh, I know business. Yeah,
Yeah.
you run a household,
Yeah.
so
Very true. All right. Peter, your book, The Trapped Operator, is now available for sale on Amazon. The Fatal Snapshot, 6 questions to diagnose before you ever implement EOS, before you implement eMyth, whatever it is, get a clue on what you're even implementing EOS on, and that's what the Fatal Snapshot is all about. 6 questions, and you have that in the book. You also have it on thetrappedoperator.com. So Peter, tell us more about where we can buy the book, learn more about you, learn more about the Trapped Operator, and start. I mean, I'm about to buy. Yeah, I mean, it's my turn to now purchase the paperback version of your book and start fixing things.
yeah. No, so yeah, thetrappedoperator.com is where we have everything live. That's our most central location for it. That gets you to the Amazon, to Kindle, anything there. Read, reviews all day long.
Yeah.
It's the indie, as we call it. It's the indie author's biggest friend, is reviews. So the more we can get on Amazon, the better.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm here on Substack under Wrestling Against Time. Um, a lot of it is about business, but a lot of it's about legacy as a whole. It's that whole concept of what is wrestling against time? The reality that we all are in the same match against the one undefeated opponent, which is time. And there was a recognition as I was driving down to Florida to move. Oh crud! I'm entering the third period. So time to get a little bit of overtime, and the concept of overtime is that of passing lessons learned on to others, and that's what legacy is. It's the concept of throwing back the rope. It's from the idea of Mr. Lane stopping to find out why an 8-year-old boy he didn't know was sitting there drowning in tears. Didn't have to do it, and the more as time goes and I get done a dissertation, I can do a little more of that writing again, a little more homage to him and what he did because he was an individual who volunteered his life for a group of kids that he didn't have to. It was awesome. And
Yeah.
so much of what I try to do now is based on all of those lessons people gave me along the way. And as I said, treat the failures as missteps so others can learn along the way. So, trappedoperator.com, best way to find us. The book, Substack, best way to find me. And once you get going, there is lots of information there. We are building it. So, I do this wrongly all the time because I'm told, you're supposed to leave breadcrumbs for people to get information and learn more. I leave loaves of bread so the diagnostics all live wherever I can. I want people to know what's going on. I want them to have a better understanding, and whatever I can do to help make that happen is what I want to do.
Peter, I can't wait to see. I'm gonna get that WhatsApp text. Like I'm at Wharton, about to give my talk. Everyone in the audience has a copy of the Trapped Operator. I mean, it's already happened. Like I already see it. Thank you, Peter, for I learn so much from you every time I talk with you. It has been a joy to help and serve you, to learn from you, to work with you. I cannot. I mean, we're still pressing this, and it's still getting out in the world. But it has been such a joy to see this reach its people, and it's been a joy to do this, to talk with you. Um, and can't wait to see where this goes. So
No,
thank you, everyone.
I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, and look
Thank,
forward to seeing what we can do.
thanks. Bye, everyone.